As reported, Ukrainian drones struck 2 industrial plants in Russia, targeting one of the country's largest nitrogen fertilizer producers in Stavropol Krai and a major fuel catalyst facility in Samara Oblast, according to Russian regional officials. Ukrainian forces regularly launch long-range drone strikes against Russia's military and industrial targets in the rear, aiming to undermine its ability to wage its all-out war. Ukrainian authorities have not officially commented on the reported attacks. Nevinnomyssk Azot is among Russia's top producers of ammonia and nitrogen fertilizers and hosts the country's only production lines for methyl, acetate, and high-purity acetic acid. It also operates Russia's first melamine production facility, according to open-source data. The plant, which produces up to 1 million tons of ammonia and over 1 million tons of ammonium nitrate annually, is a critical element of Russia's military-industrial complex. Andrii Kovalenko, head of Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation at the National Security and Defense Council, said. Kovalenko noted that ammonium nitrate is a key component for explosives and artillery shells. He added that the plant also synthesizes dual-use chemicals such as melamine, acetic acid, methanol, and potassium nitrate, frequently used in the production of grenade launchers, mines, and rocket charges. Since 2024, the plant has been producing water-soluble fertilizers, which he said have been adapted to serve military chemical needs. In Russia's Samara Oblast, a separate drone strike reportedly damaged the Novokuybashevsk catalyst plant, the country's largest specialized facility for producing catalysts used in petroleum refining and petrochemicals. Kovalenko said the plant has a strategic role, stating that without its output, Russia's oil refineries and by extension its supply of aviation fuel, diesel for armored vehicles and rocket propellant would be severely affected. Recently, units of the Unmanned Systems Forces, together with other components of the Defense Forces, struck the Tambov gunpowder factory, causing a fire there. The military command explained that such a plant is one of the main facilities of the Russian military-industrial complex. It produces gunpowder for various types of weapons, artillery and rocket systems. It also produces colloxylin, which is used in the creation of various explosives. Earlier, the Bolkov semiconductor device plant in Russia's Oryol region came under attack. Residents reported hearing a series of loud explosions and drone activity was observed in the area. Meanwhile, residents of Russia's Tula and Ryazan regions also reported loud explosions following drone strike alerts. Within the context of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, Ukrainian forces strike military targets on Russian territory as part of its politico-military grand strategy.
The drone units of the armed forces of Ukraine, together with other defense forces units, struck Russian enterprises engaged in the production of explosives. This information was confirmed by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In particular, the joint stock company Nevinnomyssk Azot plant located in the Samara region was attacked. After a series of explosions in the industrial zone, a fire broke out. This is a leading enterprise in the production of explosive components, a facility of Russia's military-industrial complex. Additionally, in the Stavropol region, the defense forces struck the Nevinnomyssk plant, which is one of the main producers of basic components for explosives, ammunition, and rocket fuel. The enterprise is involved in supporting Russia's armed aggression against Ukraine. A series of explosions and enemy air defense activity directly in the target area have been reported, with a fire recorded in the industrial zone. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noted that the results of the strike are currently being clarified. Nevinnomyssk Azot plant is a critical component of Russia's military-industrial complex. It produces up to 1 million tons of ammonia and over 1 million tons of ammonium nitrate annually, a key component in the production of explosives and artillery shells. The Novokybyshevsk catalyst plant in Russia's Samara region that produces catalysts essential for oil refinery operations has been attacked. This facility plays a critical role in ensuring fuel autonomy for the Russian military-industrial complex. Andrii Kovalenko, head of the Center for Countering Disinformation under Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, shared the information on Telegram. This plant supplies Russia with catalysts, without which its oil refineries cannot function. And that means no aviation fuel, no diesel for armored vehicles, and no rocket fuel. It's all part of their logistical system, Kovalenko stated. He emphasized that the facility also restores used catalytic materials and develops new ones, processes that are essential for producing not only fuel and lubricants but also explosives.
Relatives of some of those who died in the war between Russia and Ukraine are buried by the Russian military. They do not know who they are, without DNA and identification. They promise to bring a paper with a medical certificate. They promise to bring a paper or personal belongings later, but this does not happen. Right in the funeral bureaus, the military threatens relatives who insist on an autopsy. Open the dispute. We will file a criminal case against you. Project Window and Siberia.reality. Zinc was forbidden to open, threatened with a criminal trial. Valeria, the wife of 23-year-old Maxim Mikhailov from Amovia, Krasnodar territory, recalls that her husband stopped contacting her on March the 27th. A few days later, colleagues called and said that he was missing. Nothing is known and understood yet. There was an explosion. The command did not confirm this. They called only on April the 29th and said that on April the 20th, Maxim was allegedly on assignment and died. What happened? Silence. Valeria is outraged, she said. Mikhailov served in the Marine Corps in the 810th Division. This is all that is known to his wife. The call sign was MMM. He didn't say anything about that, where and when. Secret information. He said that he did not sleep for several days in a row. But he didn't complain about anything anymore, and so it was clear that it was dangerous, says Valeria. Maxim's wife and mother refused the contract. Mikhailov's body was brought to Amovia in the late evening of May the 4th. Practically, they started threatening us at the grave. We will file a criminal case against you if you open the grave arbitrarily, he asked them. Well, at least show me a photo. What's it like there? Well, it's not believable. I didn't even give a DNA test. I'm standing in the dark. My friends Googled something there, like there is such a criminal article. Someone I know told me in court now. They opened the grave, but it wasn't their child. They turned to the Ministry of Defense. So they sued them, they say. They illegally opened zinc. They filed a counterclaim. That's not what you sent. Here are the judges. Well, they say to me, sorry son, he's only 4 years old. My husband is in the grave. You're in prison, Valeria said. Valeria gathers through the court to exhume the body if the military does not provide her with Maxim's belongings. I'm writing to everything I know on the internet. I'm asking to find it. I believe that he is lying in some hospital, unconscious. After all, they talked about the explosion first. Then some task was drawn almost a month later. Repeats Mikhailova. Experts say that there are no direct prohibitions on the soldering of zinc coffins in the Russian legislation. According to the lawyers, the relatives of the deceased have the right, after notifying the Military Registration and Enlistment Office and having agreed with a licensed DNA laboratory, to open the zinc coffin and conduct a DNA test on the remains brought in. However, some relatives of Russian military personnel admit that sometimes they do not take a DNA test simply because they are not ready to accept the results. Once again, don't let your relatives go there. For your own sake, don't let them go, urges Valeria.